Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue our journey to learn just a little bit more Chinese a day. And today we're getting back to our chain. So before yesterday, the day before yesterday, we talked about 无往不胜. Talks about you're going to somewhere. And so the two negations, 无 and 不, right? So there's no going somewhere that you're not going to win. So basically it's Chinese way to say go get it. It's your goal, you have an intention, you have a goal, and then you're going to reach your intention. So that's a kind of confidence, like 100% guaranteed, you go get it. Okay, so today we talk about 勇往直前, the same 往. Okay, so we have 去, right, as a departure, but 往is leave for someplace, is with the destination in mind. So that's a kind of 往. So you already have a goal of where you're going. Okay, so 勇往直前, each character has this amazing story. So when I was preparing for this, I keep like this. Oh, that's what it means. So I'm really glad. That's also kind of my energy source to push me, to propel me to continue dedicate time to this project. And I want to share this amazing language because to prepare for this, I have to learn first, right? And this learning brings me so much joy and understanding of the language. So here we go. 勇. It's a left and right structure back then, right? But somehow over time, it's evolved, become top and bottom. This structure was moved to the bottom. Okay, so on the left and right, we can simply, at the beginning, I always explain as, okay, it's classical sound maker, meaning maker, sound maker, meaning maker. But that's really shallow, I would say. Whoever put the language together have intentions, why they put this sound with this meaning maker to make this meaning. It sounds so, but it also means so. So there's what we call a sound maker has also its meaning with it. It's not accidentally, they just pair it randomly with a sound. No, so that's the second layer. Like as I was doing more of the episodes and I learned a little bit more about this language, I discovered this, that a lot of times sound maker actually has this meaning in it. So here, let's look at the meaning of the two. Okay, the right side, it looks like a farming tool. I guess we can kind of imagine because we're most of us nowadays removed from farming activity, but you can kind of see it's kind of sharp, got a hook, so it's a farming tool. That's enough for us to know that people use the farming tool to mean that that's the force. And we understand, right? Back then, farming is the main activity, main output. So how can you demonstrate you have the power, you have the force? It's through farming, right? So we use kind of an indirect expression, use a tool, farming tool, to mean that's the force. So basically, that's the production, that's the activity, right? And then the left side, it's a sound maker, 勇, that is also a meaning maker, because this 勇, you see, there's a certain elegance in it. When you see a curve, slightly curved like that, I really like, I don't know why, that aesthetic of this sort of curve is intentional. So it has a certain elegance to it. And according to scholars here, that depicts a certain type of bell with a hook, with the connector or the neck of the bell over there, like the whole bell structure. And this makes this is, I guess, the main bell shape. And then there's this connector part or the neck or the hook of the bell. So it's a bell. So how to make sense of that? Like a bell with a farming tool, like why it means bravery. Okay, so here is the amazing part of Chinese language that, wise people come up with ideas of the basic foundations of life, like really abstracted to basic elements. So here we go. 勇 means bravery, because here with only the right side is the force, the mechanism, the action. Like that's what you do, like with your structure, I guess, your body, your muscle, like with that, you can output some farming result. That's one layer, right? But with this bell shaped, pronounced as 勇, added to it, it adds a certain air. In Chinese, we have this air concept. It's breathing. You have, so now you no longer just do it. You do it with breathing, with a sound. Okay, imagine that bell, ancient, big copper, mostly bell that going to shake, like vibrate with you, and then have a certain energy, right? When you hear it, come at you, and all that kind of vibration and shaking in the air becomes the sense of energy passing through. So it's not just the mechanisms; it's get you into move, the breathing to come with it. Okay, that's second layer. And the third layer is the heart, like the intention, the goal, the inner intent of it. So it's like a 3 layers of existing. So, right, the most exterior is just the flesh and bones, the muscle and bones, the power. And then in the middle is the air. You have to have the energy flow to go with it. And in the end, it's your heart, your intention, where you want to go, your intent over there. So I'm like, okay, this is what I have been thinking lately too. Just through this character, ancient language creators passed down this meaning of this bell signifies the energy, the vibration that goes through your muscles. Farming to represent the muscles. And that gives you the courage, the bravery, because now it's not just muscle. You have breathing in it. The muscles are alive, comes with energy, comes with vibration. Okay. Whew, I hope I make it clear. And 直, okay. 直 means straight. In English, it's simply, it means perpendicular. It means orthogonal, if we go fancier. And you can see this character is almost orthogonal. When I'm learning this and when I hear the translation, oh, that's the concept that match pretty perfectly visually too. Because here, definitely 90 degrees, right? Everything horizontal, and then you have this block of their, the structure to stack it up. But I mean, what exactly does that mean? It comes from 3 structures here. So this L shape, this cross, and this box with 2 horizontal lines in it. Each one signifies different things. So the simple one is the middle. We see it a lot. It's your eyes. Okay. So basically that's an eyeball. I mean, the eye, and then the middle 2 horizontal lines is eyeball. That's how I view it. But when I learned how Chinese express the nostrils, the nose, they also stack up the nostrils. So we have 2 eyes, right? Here is a stack up. This is for the convenience of expression to make it more spatially efficient. But it just means on your face, there are 2 eyes. And then the cross means 10, number 10. One line is 1, right? And when you have something cross it, that makes it 10. I don't know who come up with this genius idea, but okay, I've been using this language all my life, so it just comes naturally as a 10. This perfect like coordinate, right? X and Y, that makes it 10. Sort of makes sense, maybe. Okay, so here the perpendicular, this right 90-degree corner up there at the bottom left, because sometimes we have the left top left, and here is bottom left. So it's a kind of a corner, right? It's a space, it's a corner. So that means it's not obvious. It's not standing up tall that you can look at like that. It's kind of, you have to look down and pay attention to really discover what that means. So this means not obvious. This is inobvious, I guess. This is not something laid out there, easy to see. This is lower ground, right? It's not that obvious. But you have 10 eyeballs or eyes to like look at it, or 10 different people have 10 different perspectives or experience or data set, right? Samples. So when you have enough as 10, you pretty much have a good sense of what that thing is. Okay, so that's how Chinese express it straight, because imagine the light, the multiple light bulbs on the surgery room, because they have to remove any possibilities of a shadow, right? So 10 eyes, kind of like that, 10 light bulbs hovering over a patient body, because it's from 10 different angles. So basically there's no room for shadow forming. From every angle, there's a light source shine on it, right? So from enough perspectives, things are examined, are shed light on. So that's the kind of straight. That means there's no secret anymore. There's no exception. Like it's understood. It's seen. It's fully exposed. It's not even shadowed or covered, anything. That's a kind of straight. Not just this. It's much more to it. Okay, 钱. Okay, can deal with that. Okay, 钱. You can see today the 钱. Okay, we have three structures. This thing on the top, and this thing on the left, which means a moon by itself. But back then, it's not a moon. And then we have this structure on the right. So when I look at the Chinese original word formation, it starts to make sense what exactly those structures mean. This is not a moon. This is a boat. So in ancient times, boat was expressed in this almost like a crescent, also like a moon shape, I guess. There's a certain, fluid dynamic, water-friendly shape to improve the speed, right? So it kind of looks like a boat. And here, the top, in other episodes, it talks about a foot, a structure of the foot, and then further abstracted into like 3 toes over there. And this is the main arch of the foot. But eventually this got abstracted as stop. Like, I guess, when the foot is like 3 toes spread out and arch it's kind of, you stand firm on your ground. You don't move, don't shuffle. It's stop, full stop over there. So the boat right below the stop means the boat is kind of floating in there, not in motion, right? But here we have it in motion. It means forward. So where does the motion come from? It comes from here on the right side. You see the 2 strokes over there? That's our ancient knife. So it looks like a knife edge on the top and bottom of the knife's 2 sides edges, and eventually kind of simplified into 2 strokes up there. But it's a knife. But like, what does a knife have to do over there? Okay, so here is a little bit imagination of me. Like, it's the paddle shape too, because paddle got 2 edges on it too. I paddled a little bit before. So when the boat is in the water, you're not paddling yet. So it's kind of slightly in the direction of whatever the water flow is, right? The boat is going to move wherever the current goes. But once you start to paddle, then it's going to move forward. We seldom paddle backwards. And of course, there are techniques how you paddle backwards, but that's a paddle sign. So that means when the boat is stop there, kind of floating in a fluid in water, and then you start to put a paddle to it, that kind of guarantee it's going to go forward. Okay, so that's the definition. Like, make it pretty obvious. You first have a benchmark of stop the floating boat, and then you put the paddle to it. It's a guarantee to go forward. So put together pretty big concept for today. 勇往直前, you have this courage, this vibration, this energy, fueled muscle power. And then you have a clear definition, a destination in mind, that on your goal, right? And you have a straightforward motion. Put together simply in English, just go for it. Okay, so when in contemporary expression, we don't think too much about the origins of the word anymore, right? We don't really think about the vibration or the boat paddle it or the 10 eyes examining the thing. We don't have all that context of where this concepts put together came from. We don't have that anymore. So for a language learner, the beginner, we just know, okay, 勇往直前 simply means bravely. We actually, I mean, go for it, kind of embedded, have the meaning of courage. Like you kind of hesitate and then somebody say, go for it, put you in action, right? And 直前, like a for it, there is a forward motion to it, right? You have a strong intent to reach your goal. So that's a kind of 勇往直前, go for it. And here, I want to, this is what kind of amazed me. I didn't really look at the bells throughout the Chinese history like cohesively. We did have long, like thousands of years of history, thick history books, but nobody really puts things together, at least in regards to bells. And it's some external reading, I guess. So because I came across this 勇, and it is a structural bell, and then I became curious, like why the bell in this shape? Why there's a need to create a word for a bell? And it turned out the bells in the past, kind of like a music in the past. In the past, I'm talking about 4,000 years ago or further. That's probably pre-language existing time. That time is, well, I was wrong. Okay, language probably is about the same time. But that time, bells or music holds a special meaning in people's lives. Today, music is entertainment, is a consumption, right? Back then, bells has more spiritual meaning. And that's why you can see bells are so highly decorated and it's heavy metal made. It takes a lot of, like a special, probably generations of craftsmen to figure out how to make a bell that lasts. And a lot of the Chinese ancient language characters are taken from the surface of the bell, because not only they make patterns, decorative patterns over there, sometimes there are messages carved in onto the bell. That's how we see the language in its original form passed down to us from the objects like 4,000 years ago. Okay, so there are two main types of bells in the history of Chinese. This is about 4,000 years ago, and it's called 乐钟. So these are music making mostly. And back then, music is a kind of ceremony. It's a more spiritual event. So you can see it's just like the churches in Christianity or, I don't know, Islamic churches, a highly decorated place, right? So it forms a space to give you the sense of connecting to something grander than your everyday life. Similar concept. Here are highly, crafted, decorated bells, and these are not everyday objects. Like everyday people cannot afford to have a bell like this. It's specialized for some music making ceremonial function back then. And there are further classifications of them, but basically they are not this perfect, what do you call it? Circular or tubular shape. It's not perfect tubular. So it's kind of flat. There's no side view, but side view, it will look a little bit flat like that. And this is about 2000 or 1500 years ago. These bells are later on in China that they are more functional. You can see they're less decorative. They're relatively plainer. They're closer to everyday life, right? And they are in perfect tubular shape. So I guess eventually technology found ways to make it perfectly a cylinder. But back then it's kind of pieced together, the front and back pieced together. But I mean, 4,000 years ago, people somehow achieved this technology that later on people cannot reproduce anymore. It's a mystery. Like back then, technology for bell making reached a certain height that we later comers cannot figure out anymore. And then this 2,000 years ago, more functional ones got like mostly served as a timer, as a timing function, because I mean, back then we don't have phones to share a universal time marker, right? So these act as the timer for everybody in town. Whoever can hear the bell can hear, okay, what the time is. Okay, so 勇往直前, go for it. Cashing the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.